Alright, I'm going to take you with me on a journey of the 45acp and the pistols that I've acquired looking for the perfect 45acp. So we'll start out with the 1911. Like most everybody in this country, I grew up appreciating the 1911, what it did for us, winning both World War I and World War II, seeing service in Korea and Vietnam and even other areas of operation since then. I've always liked the 1911, shot them when I was a kid, so naturally, first 45acp I acquired was a 1911. You can see it's a Thompson, it's an auto ordnance, very inexpensive. I bought this years ago for, well, let's just say less than you'd be able to acquire it for today, and had a lot of fun shooting this thing over the years. It's always been a great pistol for me. It has lost its front sight, but I don't really shoot 1911s much anymore, and I've kind of retired it. I just keep it around to remember its manual of arms, which, as you can see, I'm a little rusty on. And I just recently added this recover grip rail combo to it to try that out. I haven't shot it yet, but so far I like it. It makes it look more like a Glock. Speaking of that, I'm going to put this Glock light on here just to make all the 1911 owners sad. So next up was the K Usp 45acp, and this is a 10-shot, huge 45acp. I grew up, with 1911s being 45, so I'm going to make that mistake, I'm sure. This one has the threaded extended barrel, so we can put a suppressor on it. I think this is perfect for the silencer co. This one is double action, single action, so I guess I should mention the 1911 being a single action only. So with the 1911, you're dealing with a certain manual of arms, and that is you start with an empty magazine and an empty firearm. With the safety off, you can check that, and you typically have the firearm sitting like this. You would load the magazine, you would insert the loaded magazine, and you would let it cycle. Once it's cycled, it would strip the first live round off the mag into the chamber, and now we'd have a loaded or ready to shoot 1911. In order to carry it or to safely transport it, you simply lock the safety on. Some models have an ambidextrous safety, which makes it even easier to deal with. But then when you want to use this one, you would draw it, pull that safety off, and pull the trigger. And it's a single action, meaning when you pull the short trigger there, it's going, I'm going to have to pull hold down this grip safety, but as I pull the trigger now, it's going to drop the hammer. So only one action happens with the pull of the trigger. The hammer drops, single action. Now the round's going to go off, the gun's going to cycle, the hammer's going to be back, and the trigger is going to be ready to do that single job, drop in the hammer. So we have a single action pistol, and you would pull the hammer or pull the trigger to drop the hammer each time. So that's a single action. That's different than the H&K, which is a double action, single action. So with the H&K, it's a little different. You'd start out with an empty magazine, empty gun, then you would fill the magazine. You would then drop that into the magazine or into the gun. Again, you'd pull the slide back that would strip the first round off the magazine, put it into the chamber, and now you'd have a loaded gun. However, on this one, instead of just putting the safety on, I guess you could do that, but you can also pull that safety down, and that's a decocker. And that brings us into a double action mode. So now we're in fire, so the safety is not engaged, and if we wanted to, though, we could put it in our holster with the safety on. The trigger would be disengaged, and the hammer wouldn't work. Then when we wanted to use the gun, we would draw it, bring it off safe, and then our trigger is going to do two things. It's going to be a double action trigger first, and then a single action. So by double action, we pull the trigger, the hammer goes back, it's first action, and it releases the hammer. It's a double action, it's second action. Now you do that, the gun cycles, the hammer's back, and now it goes into single action mode. The gun cycles, the hammer's already back, single action. So double action, and then single action. Some people really like that. I'm not a big fan of it. I really used to like it, but now that there's other options, I've gotten away from that. So that was my second 45acp. My next one was an XD. Now at this point I had to decide between an XD and a Glock, and I don't like XDs, I like Glocks better, but I had already decided to carry a 40 caliber Glock, so this gun was really just going to be to take to the range, to learn the gun, to practice, and to shoot recreationally, perhaps in competition. So I went with the XD mainly because of magazine capacity. I could fit 13 rounds in a XD, where the comparable Glock at the time, the Glock 21, could only carry 10, I believe. Or no, it carried 13 as well, but it was a little thicker. Now I had to deal with the grip safety, which I had on the 1911, which I really hate, but I was willing to deal with it for some other advantages. The 13 rounds in the grip, the very easy to hold grip shape, ambidextrous all the time mag release, which while I don't think is necessary, I think is a great option. It's easy takedown, it's real easy to disassemble one of these firearms. And then, aside from the grip safety, there's no external safeties on this one, so as you pull the trigger, its long deliberate trigger pull is most of the job of keeping this gun from firing when it's not supposed to. Now this one is a striker fire. I believe it's called a single action striker fire, but when you pull the trigger, the gun cycles and you just pull the trigger again, and it's going to be the same trigger each time. This wasn't the perfect gun though. The higher than normal bore axis for me was definitely difficult to deal with, and it's hard to find. It was hard to find holsters at the time, and honestly, I really don't like an external grip safety. So, while I really like this gun as far as its implementation of the materials, it's a super strong, well-made pistol. It is made in Croatia, as opposed to here in the U.S. So my money wasn't here. So with the Thompson, my money stayed here. With the H&K, my money left the country. With the XD, money left the country. All those things together influenced my next purchase, which was the Smith & Wesson M&P, and this one has just one modification to it, to the mag release here, and otherwise its disadvantage was 10 rounds. So to get a higher magazine capacity, you have to go to their extended mag, which I thought I had handy here, but it sticks. Oh, here it is. It sticks out the pistol a lot. It gives you 15 rounds, but it's really an extendo. So not the biggest fan of that. However, adjustable back straps that come with it, the ambidextrous safeties, if I am going to have a safety, ambidextrous is nice. The forward serrations and the serrations in general are easy to grab onto. Good takedown compared to a Glock at least, and again, pretty decent to find holsters by the time I ended up getting one of these. So I ended up with one of these because I wanted my money to stay here. I wanted to try look for a better 45 than I already had, but I'd have to say this one's a decent one, but it wasn't perfect. Again, the capacity issue was the main thing. So, oh, and also the external safety drives me nuts. When I first bought it, there was no option. I think there is an option now. So if I had the option without the external safety, I would like this one a lot more. Oh, I'll mention that it had night sights out of the box, and that was a nice option. So now the most recent one is the Glock 41, the newest, the target model of a Glock 21, or a long slide version of a Glock 21. This one I haven't actually shot yet, but that has never stopped me from making a video review. I will tell you that this one is the most easy to shoot, most accurate, most reliable pistol ever, even though I've never actually shot one. But seriously, this seems like a real nice one. It's got all the advantages I want from a Glock. All the safeties are internal. It's got a Gen 4 grip texture, which I find pretty decent. It works with my X300 with the remote switch. It's the long slide, so it's out in front of the light, which I dig. It's neat because it doesn't have that big hole in the slide, so I guess there's less chance of getting dust in there. I happen to get a used one, so it's got a set of excess sights on it, which I'm not sure if I'm a fan of or not yet. And then someone modified the little beaver tail, which I'm really liking. Gives you good grip on this gun. So as far as I'm concerned, the color is horrible. I need to get it into a better color scheme. But otherwise, it's a decent pistol. I think I'm really going to like this one. It's got the capacity I'm looking for, 13 rounds. It's a little slimmer than the original 21s, so I like that. The little beaver tail addition there gives it a nice lockup. Although I've never been bit by the 21 caliber or the 21 model Glocks, I figure the beaver tail is going to help with that. And again, just the easy to use, easy to find holsters for, I dig about the Glocks very much. So aside from the color on this one, I think this one is what I've been waiting for in a 45 ACP pistol. I'm sure people are going to differ with me, and that's part of the point of these videos. So give us some idea of what you like in a 45 ACP pistol, and we can discuss that further in the comments below. And as always, we want to thank you for watching.